Hello, how's it going, everybody? Can you guys hear me? You should be able to hear me. So today we're going to be jumping into Proverbs chapter 21. Let me get the text up on screen here for you. So what have we been seeing? We have been... let me change this here real quick. Well, what have we been seeing? We've been seeing... there we go. We've been seeing Solomon giving advice, right? He's been talking directly to his son, and then lately he's just been giving just straight up advice, different sayings, different one-liners, right? Literally life pro tips. And we saw a few verses where he was speaking to his children, but majority of the initial chapters of Proverbs was him talking to his son. And it looks like we're going to get back to that today. So let's jump into Proverbs chapter 21 here. 21, there we go. Let me make sure we have this audio up. There we go, now you can hear it.
The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of water, he turns it wherever he wishes.
So the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of water, he turns it wherever he wishes. So God controls the king's heart, right? Because the king has power over the land, right? On earth here. And, maybe this area needs help. Then this area needs help. These people need help. These people need help. So God is directing the king's heart into areas where God wants him to serve, right? Because what is the king's position? The king's position is a position of service installed by God to act as God sees fit, right? Because the king is anointed by God, right? It is a position of service. It's not a position of power. I mean, they are in power, but it's not like for one's own self. That's why David immediately asked for forgiveness when he did the census, right? Because it's not about, hey, you know what, I want to see how many people I'm ruling over. No. It is a position of service. You are serving. It's nothing to do with you at all. You are just doing this job to serve God's people and to serve God. That's it. So God is going to direct the king's heart. So the king's desires to work in this area and to work in this area. God will direct that in the ways he sees fit, in the ways he wants the king to act. So essentially saying that this job is a position of servitude, and the king acts based on what God wants.
Every way of a man is right.
I repeated
in his
myself
own
so
eyes,
much in that.
But the Lord weighs the hearts.
Wait. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the hearts. So every way of a man is right in his own eyes. So every person thinks they're right in what they're doing, but the Lord weighs the hearts. But if you're right, if you personally believe you're right in what you're doing, wouldn't your heart be fine? I think the way it's phrased is just a bit odd with the but there. But because if you take the but off, this is what it sounds like. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes. So that means every person, whatever they're doing, they believe it's right. Even if they do something wrong unknowingly in their hearts, they believe it's right. So therefore, because of that, it might be wrong to someone else, it might be wrong to that person, or they might be doing things unknowingly, right? But to them, they're doing the right thing. They're just doing it out of ignorance or whatnot. And so because of that, God weighs the hearts. He weighs the hearts, not just the actions, because you might be doing something you don't know. You might be doing something wrong you don't know you're doing. So he goes to the core. Let's see what some commentaries have to say about that. Every way of a man is right. By nature, we justify ourselves. Sometimes we do this in sincerity, sometimes with deception. But sometimes pride makes us generally think every way of a man is right in his own eyes. But the Lord weighs the hearts. Men and women are confident in their own way, but God knows. We justify things according to our hearts. It was in my heart, or I must follow my heart, or in my heart I know. But God weighs the hearts of men and women, knowing that the heart itself doesn't justify anything. But God weighs the hearts of men and women, knowing that the heart itself doesn't justify anything. What does that mean? If the heart doesn't justify anything, why is God weighing the hearts? I feel like I'm leaning towards my interpretation. Yahweh's power of discernment goes beyond unmasking those who fool others. He even finds out those who have fooled themselves. See, I'm thinking it could be that line. Those who have fooled themselves are doing things unknowingly out of ignorance. Something along those lines.
To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. A haughty look, a proud heart, and the ploughing of the wicked are sin. The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. Getting treasures by a lying tongue is the fleeting fantasy of those who seek death. The violence of the wicked will destroy them, because they refuse.
Where was that line? Getting treasures by a lying tongue is the fleeting fantasy of those who seek death. Because you don't need to get treasures by a lying tongue. What did God say? The beginning of knowledge is a fear of God. Once you fear God, you're going to want to understand God, and then that's the path to wisdom and righteousness. And once you're on that path to wisdom and righteousness, and you continue to walk down that path, God will bless you with wealth and riches. So if you go the right way, yes, it may take longer, it may be harder, but that road is built for the long way, for the long run, right? You get the wealth and riches, but then you also get longevity. If you go down the wicked path, right, getting treasures by a lying tongue, seeking wealth and all that stuff, you'll meet death. You might get your treasures, right, quickly. You might be prospering quicker, while all the people here struggling to try to do good aren't getting anything. And so you think like, hey, look at those suckers. They're not getting anything, and I'm doing whatever I want to, and I'm getting blessed. But wait. In the long run, they'll be punished. They'll get what's coming to them. We're in it for the long run. So, not the short term, the long run.
To do justice. The way of a guilty man is perverse. But as for the pure, his work is right. Better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. When the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise. But when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. The righteous God...
We talked plenty about that. When the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise. But when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. So we need to be humble. We need to be accepting of knowledge and correction. Then we can grow. When the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise. There are degrees of fools and their foolishness. A scoffer is hardened in their rejection of wisdom, while the simple is more naive in inexperience. A simple man or woman can learn wisdom when they see the scoffer is punished. When the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. Wise men and women don't need to learn everything through their own misery or the misery of others. The wise can learn as they are instructed. There's this graph. This is talking about people who have the mindset to make it, to gain wealth, to do well. People who have the mindset to learn and grow and get better and make money, they are either on one end of the extreme or the other end of the extreme. They either have a very simple mindset, or they know what they're talking about and they're wise, right? Same thing with here. The simple is ready to learn, and the wise understands that learning is so necessary to increase knowledge and retain their wisdom, right? Whereas the person in the middle, we question things, we doubt things, we put up, and because we doubt things, we put up barriers, and we feel like we know things, therefore we're resistant to correction because maybe we know better, we can reason better, right? So all those hurdles be put up for ourselves, when it honestly would be easier if we were more simple, or be more wise, be humble, right? We can make that transition. We can fear God and start walking on that path towards wisdom and understanding God, become wise, become humble, and be ever willing to learn and be corrected and take instruction and grow, right? Because that'll benefit you in literally every walk of life. And that's why it's saying, if you are on that path of righteousness, on that path towards wisdom, wealth will come.
Wisely considers the house of the wicked, overthrowing the wicked.
I like how Proverbs is talking a lot, Solomon is talking a lot about two of his most important things, right? One being wisdom, he's known to be extremely wise, and two being wealth, and he's known to be extremely wealthy. Those were two things that defined Solomon in the Bible, right? His wisdom and his wealth. And that's what he's focusing on, talking about.
For their wickedness. Whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard.
So just like the wise, they're ever willing to let go of information, like give information, versus that person in the middle, when they learn something, they'll hold on to it for themselves, right? Because now they have something over the other person, right? They know something, so therefore they feel more intelligent than the other person. But the wise person understands that, understands the bigger picture. Spreading knowledge and wisdom is far superior than holding it onto it for yourself. So just like that, just like wisdom, the wealthy, where is it? Where is it? What is happening? Where was that?
And not be heard. A gift in secret pacifies.
Okay, whoever shuts his ear to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard. So, just like the wise are willing to share information, we should also be willing to share our wealth. Whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard.
Anger.
So does that mean God won't hear you? Whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard. It's because you're not willing to help others. Why would God help you? You know?
And a bribe behind the back, strong wrath. It is a joy for the just to do justice, but destruction will come to the workers of iniquity. A man who wanders from the way of understanding will rest in the assembly of the dead. He who loves pleasure will be a poor man. He who loves wine and oil will not be rich.
So don't be afraid of hard work.
The wicked shall be a
Don't
ransom for the righteous, and the unfaithful.
Don't let the pleasures of life turn you into a lazy person. Don't let it subdue you. Don't get lost in it. Don't be distracted by it. Understand that you need to work hard to grow.
Faithful for the upright. Better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman. There is
Solomon had some experience with some angry woman. He's been talking about this angry woman like every single chapter.
desirable treasure and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it. He who follows righteousness and mercy finds life, righteousness, and honor. A wise man scales the city of the mighty and brings down the trusted stronghold. Whoever guards his mouth and tongue keeps his soul from troubles. A proud and haughty man, scoffer is his name. He acts with arrogant pride. The desire of the lazy man kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. He covets greedily all day long. But the righteous gives and does not spare. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination. How much more when he brings it with wicked intent? A false witness shall perish, but the man who hears him will speak endlessly. A wicked man hardens his face.
A false witness shall perish, but the man who hears him will speak endlessly. What does that mean? A false witness shall perish. God is against all liars. Okay, that's self-explanatory. But a false witness is a special type of liar. The primary idea is of one who lies in court, such as those who gave false witness at the trial of Jesus. The man who hears him will speak endlessly. The second line, I'm guessing, that's supposed to be a line. The second line of this proverb has in mind another kind of injustice in court. The judge or lawyer in the court who hears the false witness and may speak endlessly about the matter without ever coming to a just and fair verdict. So like the lawyer calls the witness to the stand, and the false witness is lying, and then the lawyer is just continuously, endlessly just talking without ever getting to a fair or just verdict. I'm guessing that's what it means. What do you guys think about that?
But as for the upright, he establishes his way. There is no wisdom or understanding or counsel against the Lord. The horse is prepared for the day of battle, but deliverance is of the Lord.
Right. That's the end all be all right there.
A good name is to be chosen, rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold.
A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. By a good name, I think it means reputation, not necessarily just your actual name.
The rich and the poor have this in common: the Lord is the maker of them all. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the perverse. He who guards his soul will be far from them.
That's interesting. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple man pass on and are punished. So the simple man cannot distinguish between good and evil. So they are taken up by the evil and then are therefore punished. But if they knew, if they could distinguish the two, if they understood the action to take when they see evil, they wouldn't be punished. That's interesting.
Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. He who sows iniquity will reap sorrow, and the rod of his anger will fail. He who has a generous eye will be blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor.
We just talked about that in the last chapter.
Cast out the scoffer, and contention will leave. Yes, strife and reproach will cease. He who loves purity of heart and has grace on his lips, the king will be his friend. The eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, but he overthrows the words of the faithless. The lazy man says, "There is a lion outside. I shall be slain in the streets." The mouth of an immoral woman is a deep pit.
The eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge, but he overthinks the words of the faithless. But he overthrows the words of the faithless. The lazy man says, "There's a lion outside. I shall be slain in the streets." Let me look this up. Hey Ricky, how's it going? You have a new name every single day, I feel like. Ricky says, "It's interesting. We talked about it last chapter." Yeah, Solomon has been repeating a lot of stuff every single chapter. What verse was this? Ba-dum bum 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 bum. 13. The lazy man says, "There's a lion outside. I shall be slain in the streets." There is a lion outside. This is the cry of the lazy man. In his imagination, the outside world and the work required to function in it are so frightening that it is best avoided. Wow. His excuse is crazy and absurd, but such is the refuge of the lazy man. The lazy man says, Spurgeon spoke on Proverbs 22:13 and 26:13. In both texts, the slothful man is represented as having something to say, and I think that there are no people that have so much to say as those that have little to do. Where nothing is done, much is talked about. I shall be slain in the streets. The lazy man exaggerates the dangers and the troubles outside his door, especially those connected to work. Man, he's lazy, he's a procrastinator, and he's making excuses because he doesn't want to go out.
He who is abhorred by the Lord will fall there. Foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child. The rod of correction will drive it far from him. He who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty. Incline your...
Ooh, that's interesting. He who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty. So does that mean you have to do both things or one or the other? So he who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, that's clearly something wrong, and you'll come to poverty for that. and he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty. So he who gives to the rich will come to poverty. I'm guessing it's not just giving to the rich. It's probably the reason why would you give to the rich? Because Solomon, people gave money to Solomon all the time. So if he believed this, wouldn't he stop them from doing that? Because then they will all become poor. Yeah, so I think it's the intention behind giving to the rich. Maybe you're giving to the rich to find favor, to seek some sort of, you're seeking something from giving to the rich. It's not, you're not giving out of charity.
Who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty.
Incline your ear and hear.
Let's actually look it up and let's see what the commentary's got to say about that. He who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty. The one who gives to the rich is like the one who oppresses the poor. He has no compassion for those in need. To such the principle applies. He will surely come to poverty. God's blessing will not be on the life and wealth of such a man lacking in compassion. Yeah, I don't think it's just giving to the rich, because I don't know, you can people donate to streamers all the time, and these streamers are crazy rich. So are they bound for poverty? Or you know what? Maybe it could be a misuse. It's talking about a misuse of your assets. Why are you giving your money to rich people? You should be using it more wisely. They don't really need it. You need it. So follow God down the path of righteousness that leads to wisdom, and use that wisdom and knowledge that you've gained to better yourself. Why are you wasting money by giving it to the rich who already have the money? So it's of no real value to them. You could take it that way as well. But let me know, what do you think? Ricky says, money is wisdom, knowledge. It's never money. Right? That's what we've been talking about, right? The fear of God is the path to wisdom and righteousness, and then once you're on that path to wisdom and righteousness, you gain knowledge and understanding, and with that, riches and wealth come from it. It's just it is a benefit. It's a benefit to wisdom.
Hear the words of the wise, and apply your heart to my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if you keep them within you. Let them all be fixed upon your lips, so that your trust may be in the Lord. I have instructed you today, even you. Have I not written to you excellent things of counsels and knowledge, that I may make...
So this is Solomon speaking directly to his son here. Have I not written to you excellent things of counsels and knowledge? He's writing directly to the reader, and the reader is the son, because he has addressed a lot of these to his son. Either his son or his children.
Written to you excellent things of counsels and knowledge, that I may make you know the certainty of the words of truth.
Either way, these are
that you may
advice from a father.
Words of truth to those who send to you. Do not rob the poor because he is poor, nor oppress the afflicted at the gate.
So do not rob the poor because he is poor, or oppress the afflicted at the gate. So don't take advantage of someone who's already a victim. So don't take advantage of the weak. Don't kick somebody when they're down.
For the Lord will plead their cause and plunder the soul of those who plunder them. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man do not go, lest you learn his
might not
ways
be a good idea.
and set a snare for your soul. Do not be one of those who shakes hands in a pledge, one of those who is surety for debts.
We talked about something similar, right? Don't make promises on behalf of somebody else that you don't know. right? So Solomon is very particular about when he speaks and when he makes a promise, because if you give your word, you're beholden to it. So here, do not be one of those who shakes hands in a pledge, one of those who is surety for debts. So if you know that you're going to be in debt and you're not going to be able to pay, so don't pledge anything. Only promise what you can follow up on.
You have nothing with which to pay. Why should he take away your bed from under you? Do not remove the ancient landmark which your fathers have set.
That's smart. If you have nothing in which to pay,
do you see a man
should he take
who
your bed away from under
excels
you?
in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before unknown men.
So whatever you do it well, work hard and do it well, and excel in it, and you will stand before kings. People will recognize you. You will not stand before unknown men. So you excel at something, you're good at something, and you enjoy something, and you excel at it, you'll be recognized for it. Just keep at it, keep working hard. That's cool. Ricky said, that's me. I don't know. Thank you, though. I appreciate the confidence.
When you sit
in
down to eat with a ruler, consider carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are a man.
Whoa, wait, what?
Down to eat with a ruler, consider carefully what is before you, and put a knife to your throat if you are a man given to appetite. Do not desire his delicacies, for they are
okay.
deceptive food. Do not overwork to be rich.
Do not overwork to be rich. So your goal shouldn't be, right? That shouldn't become your ultimate goal. Money shouldn't be your ultimate goal. Your ultimate goal is God, right? That's just to walk in that path. What God wants for you, to see God, to understand God. That's your ultimate goal. And with that, yes, riches will come. But don't put riches above God. That shouldn't be your main focus. And don't overwork to be rich, right? You don't want to be consumed by that.
Because of your own understanding, cease.
That's important.
Will you set your eyes on that which is not?
Because if you're overworking to be rich, you're doing it based off of your own understanding. What is the key? Walk in the path that God has set for you. Follow the righteous path, right? Follow God. Again, try and understand Him. And the wealth will come. You don't have to overwork to be rich. Because if you're overworking, you're using your own understanding, and that's going to lead to your downfall.
Riches certainly make
In the long
themselves wings. They fly away like an eagle toward heaven. Do not eat the bread of a miser, nor desire his delicacies, for as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, he says to you, but his heart is not with you. The morsel you have eaten, you will vomit up and waste your pleasant words. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. Do not remove the ancient landmark, nor any.
That's actually really important. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of your words. He's not even going to understand it. They'll just get angry. They're not going to hear it because they've already made up their mind. You see this so many times. There's so many debates and stuff like this on YouTube where people are just speaking at each other and they're not taking the time to build that foundation, build those definitions to understand what each other are talking about. No, there's no understanding there at all. There's no actual real listening. So if you talk to somebody like that, if you're do not speak in the hearing of a fool. You know, someone who has made up their mind in ignorance. What's the point in talking? They're going to despise your wisdom. They're going to hate you, and they don't even know why. So you just wasted your time, ruined your mood, and they didn't get anything out of it either. So it's just a waste of time.
Enter the fields of the fatherless, for their Redeemer is mighty. He will plead their cause against you. Apply your heart to instruction, and your ears to words of knowledge. Do not withhold correction from a child, for if you beat him with a rod, he will not die.
Depends on the rod and how many beatings.
You shall beat him with a rod and deliver his soul from hell.
Dang.
My son, if your heart is wise, my heart will rejoice. Indeed, I myself, yes, my
So he's writing to his
inmost
son.
being will rejoice when your lips speak right things. Do not let your heart envy sinners, but be zealous for the fear of the Lord all the day. For surely there is a hereafter, and your hope will not be cut off.
Let me look this up. For there is a hereafter. Do not let your heart envy other. What am I reading? Do not let your heart envy sinners, but be zealous for the fear of the Lord all the day. For surely there is a hereafter. And your hope will not be cut off. Do not let what am I reading? Do not let your heart envy sinners. This is an easy trap to fall into. On this side of eternity, the ultimate judgments of God, it may seem that the sin is unpunished and righteousness is unrewarded. Be zealous for the fear of the Lord all the day. Instead of being jealous of the wicked, determine to have an eternal perspective rooted in the fear of the Lord, an active recognition of the greatness and righteousness of God. For surely there is a hereafter. If this life was all there would be, then we would have much more reason to envy sinners. Right? Because what's the point? We're here for the long run, right? We're not here just for this life. If you're here for this life, might as well just sin and do whatever we want to do. Unethically obtain riches and do whatever. Have a good time here and die. That's it. But we're not doing that. We're good people. We're here for the long term, and we're here to follow God. Yet, as the conclusion of the book of Ecclesiastes demonstrates, surely there is a hereafter, and therefore wisdom means that we should live in the fear of God. So there is a hereafter. This is not the only life. But here's my question, because I don't know the Jewish perspective on the hereafter, the afterlife, right? Because as a Christian, we believe that Jesus is going to come back. The dead will be resurrected and we'll go to heaven, right? That's the afterlife. But what do the Jews believe? Because the Jews don't believe in a second coming. So how did they believe? How did the Jews get to heaven? I don't know much about that aspect of Judaism. Let's look that up. Judaism afterlife. Do Jews believe in the afterlife? And how do they get to the afterlife? I don't know. There is an afterlife. Texts from every era in Jewish life identify a world where people go when they die, right? Sheol, I know that. But how do they get to heaven? In the Bible, it's an underworld called Sheol. In the rabbinic tradition, it's known by a number of names, including Yeshiva Shel Mala, the school on high. That's interesting, the school on high. The Hebrew word for skies, Shamayim, also came to refer to heaven. Heaven has an open door policy. Heaven is not a gated community. The righteous of any people and any faith have a place in it. Our action. Let me know. Like, if you're Jewish, is this an accurate representation of your beliefs? Let me know. The righteous of any people and any faith have a place in it. Our actions, not our specific beliefs, determine our fate. Right? I've heard that Judaism is more action based that rather than faith based. So acts based instead of faith based. No concept of hell exists in Judaism, but we just talked about Sheol, aka Hades, aka the underworld, aka hell. So I don't get that. The closet we got is the fate of apostate. The closest we got, I was like, what am I reading? The closest we got is the fate of the apostate, a person who renounces God, faith, and morality in this world, who is said to be cut off from his kin. The afterlife can take many forms. Jewish beliefs in the afterlife are as diverse as Judaism itself, from the traditional view expecting the unity of flesh and spirit in a resurrected body, to the idea that we live on in our children and grandchildren, to a sense of heaven. The afterlife is here on earth. One strand of Jewish thought sees heaven as a transitory place. So there's no concrete view of this in Judaism. One strand of Jewish thought sees heaven as a transitory place where souls reside after death. They reside there until they reunite with their physical bodies at the time when the Messiah comes. Okay, so similar to our second coming. So when the second coming happens, Jews will look at it like it's the coming of the Messiah. That's interesting. This approach differs from reincarnation, or we could look at it the other way if you want to. This approach differs from reincarnation since the return to life happens only in the Messianic era, not as a regular occurrence, as in Hinduism. We live through others. The Reform Jewish prayer book expresses this idea through the metaphor of a leaf and a tree. A leaf drops to the ground, but it nourishes the soil, so more plants and trees spring up. The same is true in our lives. We nourish the future through the influence we have on those who follow us. It can happen in unimaginable ways. See, I don't think that's just the only thing. I don't think we just die and pass on our knowledge and our experiences to our children and stuff like that, because Moses, Elijah, and Enoch are in heaven. So they're the way for humans to be up in heaven. So therefore, I think the Jews believe that we will go to heaven. It looks like there are multiple interpretations of how. Let me know what you guys think. If you have more insight into Judaism and the beliefs regarding the afterlife and how to enter heaven, I'd like to know.
Hear, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. Do not mix with wine-bibbers or with gluttonous eaters of meat, for the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe a man with rags.
See, or with gluttonous eaters of meat, not just necessarily eaters of meat, but ones who overeat, who only eat meat. You know? They don't live a healthy lifestyle. Dang, that carnivore diet going around. Jordan Peterson. Is he a gluttonous meat eater? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Carnivore diet, how does that work with this?
Listen to your father who begot you, and do not despise your mother when she is
Honor
old.
your father and mother.
Buy the truth, and do not sell it. Also wisdom and instruction and understanding. The father of the righteous will greatly rejoice, and he who begets a wise child will delight in him. Let your father and your mother be glad, and let her who bore you rejoice. My son, give me your heart, and let your eyes observe my ways. For a harlot is a deep pit,
So
and
watch,
a
learn from
seductress
example.
is a narrow well. She also lies in wait as for a victim, and increases the unfaithful among men. Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions? Who has complaints? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who linger long at the wine, those who go in search of mixed wine. Do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it swirls around smoothly. At the last, it bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart will utter perverse things. Yes, you will be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, or like one who lies at the top of the mast, saying, "They have struck me, but I was not hurt. They have beaten me, but I did not feel it. When shall I awake that I may seek another drink?"
Dang. That sucks. To be in that state, just being numb, just drowning yourself. You don't want, man, this person is lost. Like, you'll be lost. You'll feel lost, alone. Do not, those who linger long at the wine, those who go in search of mixed wine, do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it swirls around smoothly. At the last, it bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. Your eyes will see strange things, your heart will utter perverse things. Yes, you will be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, drowning. Letting everything else overtake you. You don't have any control, just giving up. Letting the sea take you whichever way it wants to take you. Or like one who lies at the top of the mast saying, "They have struck me, but I have not hurt." Like, I'm guessing lightning. "They have beaten me," or maybe people, whatever, regardless, he's been hurt. "They've beaten me, but I do not feel it." So they're probably in pain, but they have gone numb to it and they don't know how to get out of it. "When shall I awake that I may seek another drink?" So this could either be talking literally about drinking, or it could be also talking about just, I'm thinking he is talking literally about drinking, but you could take it other ways as well. Yeah. And it's hard to come out of that mindset, right? If you're feeling lost and overwhelmed, or like you're laying out in the middle of the sea, drowning in the water, in the deep, you don't know which direction to go, which way should I go, up, down, left, right, you don't know how to get out, and you just feel numb to everything. Like, it's hard to wake up from that. And when you wake up from that, it's probably hard to deal with everything. So you just want to fall back into that. And it's a never-ending cycle. And that's similar to like the lazy person who's scared. He doesn't want to go outside because it hurts. It's scared. There's a lion out there. So the only way, there's only one path, right? And we know what that path is. And we have to muster up the strength, pray, and start walking down that path one step at a time. It's tough, but remember, it's simple, but that simple doesn't necessarily mean easy. Simple can be very difficult. But if it's simple, you can do it, though. If it's simple, everybody can do it because it's simple. You just have to want it that much. But anyways, that's going to be it for today. We just finished 23. These were good. 21, 22, 23. This was good. It was nice seeing Solomon speak directly to his son, referencing him, saying that he's leaving these writings for him. Like he wrote these for his son to read. So that's cool. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow we'll jump into chapter 24. I'm going to guess that we're going to continue with these, right? That's what it's been the past few days. Solomon speaking these words of wisdom for his son, for his children to read, passing down this information. So, look, I'm going to guess we're going to hear more from Solomon tomorrow. Some more of his wise words. And so hope you have a great day today. And I'll see you tomorrow for Proverbs chapter 23. Take care. Bye-bye.